don't know who will play, but one of those we feel like is the only position that is up for debate.
All right, so let me share what I hope will be a prophetic story with everyone here. So I was reading Adam and Martin's book, and one of the last chapters that I read was the interview with Ricky Villa. And if you remember, the semifinal, I hope I get my years right, should have been, I guess, the 80-81 season, so it would have been in 81. He had a blinder in the semi, scored a magical goal. First leg of the final, he was terrible, and he was taken off at the half. And Simon, you've spoke about this before, where Perryman actually told Berkey, don't play him for the replay.
So
but
has it.
At the end of the game, Berkey said to him, you're starting the replay. And so maybe a hint of irony, and maybe it's prophetic, that Dembele was taken off at the half against the Spammers, was obviously dreadful.
Awful.
And maybe this is his one shining moment.
That would be nice.
Hopefully. And a side story to that is that Ricky Villa goal actually plays a little bit of a role within the group as well, because my soon-to-be father-in-law, he actually played for Man City at the time and was the last defender that Ricky Villa ran around.
Are you kidding me?
You must be kidding. Who was it? It was Bond. Who was the manager of Man City? Oh, Christ.
John Bond.
It was John Bond. So who's your future father-in-law?
He was a player called Ray Ranson.
Oh
my God, yes.
And he played right back at the time. And the first time I met him, he actually said to me that one of my North London boys has his FA Cup winners medal, and that was the way we got introduced. Luckily, we're a bit closer now. Yeah, so that goal plays a big role in my family at the moment.
He really has I was going to say appreciation, but a definite understanding of, and still Ricky Villa.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that might even get a mention in the wedding speech.
But if there's any player that can go through and dance through 4 or 5 players like he could, Dembele.
Yeah. With the strength, and he does have really good feet. People don't give him a lot of credit. He has some heavy first touches, but once he gets the ball under control, he does have some really good feet. I will give him that.
Apart from the West Ham game, we've looked a lot worse when he's been taken off.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I just think that look, one of the frustrating things that we talked about the other day that he did last week at West Ham when he beats his man, turning right back into traffic, and hopefully if he can just stay forward thinking, use his physical prowess and his stature. He holds the ball up really well. We just need that one good piece of distribution from him. Maybe get the other guys going as well.
I think we're going to see a different Spurs side than we've seen the last few weeks. I think we're going to see what we saw at the Derby. I think we're going to see what we saw against Chelsea the first time. For some reason, I think this team tends to play to their competition's ability level, and it seems that tomorrow, I think, could go down as one of the all-time cracking finals in the history of that cup. I really do.
Well, I really, to be perfectly fair, don't give a shit. I just want it to be one more goal for us than them. I don't care how we win it. I make no bones about it.
It doesn't matter. First game of all time.
Yeah, I'm not pulling, a Bill Nicholson like, I want to win. I just want to win. I don't care about winning with glory. I just want silverware, and I want to beat those bastards so badly. And as we're going through this, I'm literally going through this massive Twitter wind-up with this prick, this Chelsea supporter fan. He has my head just completely going right now, so sorry.
Not the trolls.
Yeah, he's completely trolled. They trolled our pub. We're going to this one pub, and they've trolled our pub, and so they just want to go there to start trouble. And
they followed us from our normal base, which is showing the egg chasing tomorrow. So they've now gone to where we're going, but they're trying to say it used to be their pub. Well, it used to be until you sodded off because you're useless.
Yeah.
Small club in Fulham.
Myself and my father, we're Spurs, but my mother and my sister are season ticket holders at Chelsea.
No.
So tomorrow's going to be an interesting day.
Will you all be together?
Yes, we are all sitting together actually. So,
no,
really?
You're not.
So I didn't know this.
Right, you're out the group.
Oh wait, you're not gonna like half scarf wanker family?
Oh my goodness, that was
wow. Great. You're gonna be so they're gonna be in their Chelsea kit, are they?
Possibly, yeah. We might ban them from wearing it, considering we're the famous ones of the family now.
Yeah, there you go. All right, great.
Well,
Wow.
listen up, guys. Hey, I want to take the time again. Thank you very much for coming on, David, Darryl, and Dave. I mean Adam. Again, Tottenham Hotspur's Capital One Cup Final 2014-15 invocation song. Let's call it that. Ledley and the Kings, Hotshot Tottenham 2015. If you have not downloaded it off iTunes yet, please go do that. All of the proceeds go to the Tottenham Tribute Trust. And once again, thank you guys so much for coming on to the show with us today.
Pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Absolute pleasure.
Best of luck.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, good luck tomorrow.
Cheers. So that was it. Ledley and the Kings interview. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, who I was calling Dave, by the way, in our best.
That was brilliant. That was so great.
Trigger is alive and well on the
Those guys are
Hotspur
great.
America
God,
Podcast.
just normal, everyday supporters, right?
Yeah, and how cool is that for them?
It's very God.
I mean, that's got to be just over the moon.
Just the classic 15 minutes of fame. I mean,
That's exactly what that is.
Surrounding, or encapsulated by the thing that you love arguably the most in your life, your football club.
Yeah.
So it's great. It's just great.
Yeah. So again, we're trying to get as many people on. We know you guys like having us, have the guests on and whatnot. We have gotten club clearance to have Brad Friedel on.
Yes.
So when that happens, I'm gonna actually tweet out to AO Dallas, AO Fort Worth, and maybe all the AOs. Why not? Maybe American Outlaws. I'm trying to remember which one is the central one. I think it's the one in Kansas City. Were they the first? I think that they may be the hub, so that they can get in control. So if anybody wants to listen to the interview with Friedel, and it'll be mostly Tottenham based, but there'll be some USMNT stuff obviously thrown in there. The dynamic that the club has, Tottenham, with the United States men's national team, from the currents like Yedlin and Cameron Carter-Vickers on the U21s, Klinsman, all the way to Dempsey and Casey Keller and Friedel himself. It's an interesting dynamic, and I think it's why Tottenham are actually pretty popular. When you look at you could even say the current skill levels of both teams and where you expect them to be in the national scene or the world scene for the USMNT and Tottenham in the EPL, they kind of run parallel to one another as far as the skill set goes. So I think it's going to be really fun to have Brad on. I'm really looking forward to that interview and having him on, and we'll definitely get everybody involved in that we can. And that may be a first. That may be a first for him. And it'll be a first for us. We've not had a player on, so that'll be really fun. To touch back on the match a little bit, though, one of the things I think that I saw was just a remarkable, to me, sense of, we can do this out of the players. Even right to the last whistle, no one gave up, and we kind of touched on that a little bit earlier. And I had tweeted out to Bentaleb and Mason. I don't get anything back from them, but these guys are constantly on Twitter. They're still kids. Let's face it. That I just basically told them, unleash hell tomorrow, and you kind of hope that kind of mentality sticks with them. I hope they don't become so shy to the game. I don't expect it, not shy to the game, but just that they don't give up on what it is that they're doing, and they believe in the system that they're being brought up in. I think that between Walker, Rose, Bentaleb, and Mason and Dyer, that there's something there in that defensive side of the football that we are looking for improvements on, because some of the goals it seems like that we concede are a little, I don't want to say soft, but it's everything is driven from an error. And if those guys can grasp onto the system but quit making the little I'm only 19, 20, 21 or 22 years old errors, I think that there's a bright future there.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it's not bereft of effort, that's for sure, but we're just missing that last sort of final pass, that last piece of quality, that last, we talk about guile a lot, just that last oomph, if you will, that's needed, and we completely lacked it today, and that's what separates a top 6 team or top 7 team with a top 4 team, and I don't know, it'd be interesting to see what those ingredients are. But look, the one that was one of the reasons why I've been so calm, right, is I'm like, okay, I know who we are now. Like I know who's really not good enough. I know who we can sort of build around. And look, I mean, Andros, we have real problems, as Ken, as you mentioned. I can't remember whether you said this before the show or in the early part of the show. We have terrible problems on the left wing and the right wing, without question. We may have speed, but there's no final product.
To be at the level we want, we have issues. I think they're all great players. I love. Even
I think they're pretty good. I think they're pretty good.
Yeah, but they're not world class, and you have to have that to deflect attention from Kane and Eriksen.
Do some of these have world class talent? Right.
It's really hard to tell.
Simon?
The potential is there. I can see a lot of potential in a number of the players. We've seen Chadley play a blinder. We've seen Lamela do things with his feet that you're like, how the frick did he just do that? But it does your head in because of the errors they make on top of doing those things. You know, we watched Hazard lose the ball today. I've watched him lose the ball. He's on my fantasy team. I've watched him lose the ball throughout the course of the year. And he makes up for it by his creativity. It's a lot like Glenn Hoddle. And Simon, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this because I've only seen the videos. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about the fact that Spurs supporters used to get their head done in by Hoddle because of the constant giveaways of the ball, or he'd play 2 or 3 crap games in a row. But then when it came off, it was absolute brilliance. And it would continue for game after game after game, he and Ardiles both. So Hazard has that. And Willian, we even saw today, has that. And Coutinho, who's playing just lights out for Liverpool right now, dare I say, has that. You want someone who has such class at one of those wing positions to be able to deflect the central, because what it's causing teams to do, West Ham did it, and it almost worked for them. Chelsea kind of did it today. We tried to use the width on that big pitch at Wembley. It didn't come off for us because they played so compact, deflected all the attention defensively towards Kane, and the wingers couldn't do anything about it from a talent standpoint. I just don't think that they're quite good enough yet. The potential may be there for some. It may never come for some. Yeah, I was having a conversation. This one guy was kind of putting out on Twitter the future lineups and how things are going to look. And I said, hey, you know what? You forgot Alex Pritchard. Don't forget that kid. And he said, you know what? You're absolutely right. I need to put him in, lump him in with Chadley. But is he world class enough? Or is he the guy that's going to come off the bench and try to be an impact? I kind of see him in an Eriksen/Holtby role. Holtby doesn't have the end product that we need, obviously. Eriksen does. So, but that's all going to be central midfield. We got to find a winger that we can say, you know what, we're going to invest. It's going to be this person. There are a number of them out there that are really solid, world-class wingers. But you're not going to get these clubs to give them up for cheap. Someone is going to have to, pull the purse strings away from Levy a little bit and say, we've got to make a little bit of a splash here. We haven't had that since Bale, and you see what it did for us when we had that world-class person on the wing. That's what it can create. And if you can find that person, combine him with Eriksen, Kane, and the supporting cast of young defenders that we have, the future's bright. I really think we're about one piece away. I really think so.
Well, I'm not so sure that I think that the equation is that so easily solved, but certainly, yeah. I mean, we have to have better quality than Andros Townsend and Chadley and Lamela, and the best combination of those 3 that we've had this year.
Right.
I mean, we've talked about it before. I mean, Chadley's had important goals and has contributed to some of those 15, 16 points that we've had when we probably shouldn't have had. But in terms of total performances and being a real threat and scaring people, none of those 3 have fit that description. And so that I agree. And you make a very fair point. We have to spend. So now we're back to having these discussions about, selling these collection of players that we clearly overpaid for, being choosy about which ones we let go and which ones we keep, and being a little bit more sensible about, who we buy with the money that we raise. So
I think what's going to be key is these next 2 games on Wednesday and next Saturday, Swansea and QPR respectively, how we rebound from the disappointment of getting knocked out of 2 competitions in consecutive games, and knowing that now we just have to focus on our position in the league.